Chapter 11. On July 17, 1991, Grattan was transferred to Pelican Bay State Prison, PBSP, California's highest security prison located near the California-Oregon border in Del Norte County. First opened in December 1989, this state-of-the-art facility was designed to house California's most dangerous inmates. According to an article in the Associated Press, the main prison yard is cold, stark, and treeless. Inmates allowed to interact and exercise together in general population, huddle in the chilly coastal wind in separate cyclone-fenced areas. The 1,056-bed SHU is an even harsher prison world, separated by electronically charged fences and designed to house the worst of the worst. In the isolation of the SHU, which is pronounced just as death row at San Quentin, the prisoners are either single or double celled in an antiseptic cell painted white with a glass wall so the guards could always peer in. Meals are brought to them. They are allowed out of their cells only 1 hour a day, alone or with their cellmates, to exercise in a concrete courtyard smaller than an indoor racquetball court. According to various NF members, Northern California Latino inmates know Pelican Bay State Prison as NF headquarters. It is where the NF's high command are held, along with leaders of the state's toughest gangs, the Mexican Mafia, the Aryan Brotherhood, the Black Guerrilla Family, and the Nazi lowriders. The Associated Press article also reported, upon arrival, an inmate's personal belongings are x-rayed before they are placed in a cell. A prisoner's bunk is a mattress on top of a slab of concrete, and each cell has a stainless steel toilet that does not have any removable parts that could be used to make weapons. 8 cells form a pod, arranged in a cluster around a computerized control room, so correctional officers can monitor virtually every movement. It is virtually impossible to escape, and the only ways out are to be paroled, debriefed, or die. As with all other new arrivals, Grattan was first housed in an orientation unit and placed on CTQ status. His C-file was reviewed, after which he was taken to UCC, where his gang membership association validation was verified, and he was questioned by the Institutional Gang Investigator, IGI. 2 weeks later, on August 16, 1991, Grattan received the mandatory lockup order. Upon completion of orientation and all other PBSP formalities, Grattan was housed in a regular SHU assigned to Unit C4 224 up and celled with Jimmy Weasel Sanchez, a well-known, respected, and longtime NF member who was soon to be paroled. He was also celled next to Robert Brown Bob Viramontes, a very well-known, respected, and charismatic NF founding member from Morgan Hill, California, who had made his bones in 1978 when he and 2 other NF members were convicted of manslaughter for hanging an inmate they thought was a snitch. Preceded by his reputation, Viramontes did his time in San Quentin. He became well-read on all subjects and quickly climbed to the top of the NF's rank and file. His cellmate, Arthur Big Smiley Ramirez from Salinas, was also a well-known and respected high-ranking Cat 3 NF member. Once Grattan settled in with Sanchez, he was introduced to Viramontes and filed a full report pertaining to himself and his NF status, as well as mandatory update regarding CSP Corcoran. Viramontes liked Grattan's style and wanted to know more about him. He confided to Grattan that he had spent most of his life inside California state prisons and confirmed that he was, in fact, one of the NF's highest-ranking OGB members. He detailed his life story and talked about the coffins he nailed shut along the way. He also explained Familiano's obligations and said it was his responsibility to direct and indoctrinate the NF's up-and-coming talent. Grattan was impressed. Ripe for such a figure in his life, a classic case of the earnestness of the situation and a less experienced Familiano with a need developed. Intent on learning as much as possible, Grattan was an eager and intelligent new member. Even before he ever met Viramontes, the circles Grattan drifted toward were dominated by the cause and structured Norteños and Familianos, all of who were exploring differences between the MA and the NF. He took all of it seriously. He was quiet, a good listener, and according to Viramontes, a fast learner. Intellectual life inspired him, but he was still tentative, ready to chase the NF vision, but unclear exactly what it was or how to achieve it. He needed to break out, but he wasn't prepared yet to do so on his own. Location on that particular psychological continuum was one of the qualities Viramontes looked for in new members. To him, it signaled hunger, awakening talent, and a desire to learn. Over the years, Brown Bob had taken hundreds of similarly positioned new members under his wing. The role itself was fluid, of varying duration and based on mutual attraction. New members revered him and associated him in whatever endeavors he chose to undertake. They waited for his orders, did what he said, and were readily available to be thrown into some pressing project, the true significance of which Brown Bob was able to expound upon with absolute authority. The relationship was not so much of that of an employer and employee as it was the brotherhood tone Brown Bob gave it. But such talent inequalities often went unnoticed by him in his quest for dominance. In return for indenturing themselves to Brown Bob's frantic quest, new members were given a safe pass to pursue their developing urge for commitment and clarity. Viramontes supplied leadership approval, an assignment, and a model to shape themselves after. He was the ideal Familiano, the first that Grattan felt had truly devoted himself to NF's beliefs. To a concerned, earnest Familiano like Grattan, the prospect of being Brown Bob's protege was enthralling. His request for Brown Bob was immense, and the two had become good friends. Viramontes felt Grattan had a bright future and immediately assigned him to function under Big Smiley's authority and guidance. After confirming Grattan's assignment, Ramirez explained that he was an NF Familia Capataz FC in charge of building the Fiesta Familia, one of 5 elite Familia clans that were being fashioned after the 5 families of the New York Italian mafias in an attempt to re-energize the NF. Only a few select soldados would be recruited to function in these elite clans. Their goal was to locate 10 new and experienced NF members with leadership potential who were prepared to act as the infrastructure of each Familia clan. Soon after explaining this, Ramirez told Grattan that he was just the kind of talented leadership material he was looking for. Grattan, in turn, became one of the first recruits of Big Smiley's Fiesta Familia. The FC concept read Familia Capataz FC de la Nuestra Familia. The concept and or implementation of the Familia Capataz is an organizational structure based on the 5 families organization of the Italian Mafia. There are to be 50 elite soldados chosen to participate, 10 per Familia clan. Each Familia clan is headed by Familia Capataz or boss, with an underboss as the second in command. Each Capataz shall rank no lower than Cat 3, will remain under the authority and guidance of the OGB, and is held responsible for the manpower assigned to him. Those who are appointed to function as an FC are also responsible for the building up of a Familia bank with no less than $10,000 minimum. The official counselor or advisor to the Familia clan is known as the Consul. Below the underboss are the administrators of the Familia clan. Assigned to the administrators are soldados who are made members of the Nuestra Familia. An individual who has been nominated for membership in the Familia clan is a proposed member, and an associate is one who, although not a made member, works for or performs services for the Familia clan. Members and associates are required to obey the superiors in their Familia clan, to obtain permission from their superiors before engaging in criminal activities, and to commit criminal acts, including murder, as directed by their superiors. The 5 Familia clans are named as follows. I'm not even going to embarrass myself and try to pronounce these, because I can't pronounce them. I'll destroy these names, so I'm just going to spell them. The VILLAISTAS, the ZAPATISTAS, the HUERTISTAS, the MUERIETISTAS, and the MARTINISTAS. The Martinistas, some bullshit. Grattan agreed to function as a Viesta and was given a copy of the FC's rules and regulations, which read, Elite NF Regiment de la Nuestra Familia. The following will be implemented and followed by all FCs who have Familia type regiment assignment. Not all Cat 3s will have a Familia assigned to him. It will be each FC's responsibility to establish and maintain a Familia bank with a set goal percentages for his Familia clan. The FC will be responsible for the manpower under his guidance, and it is his duty to decide and enforce their discipline, as these following codes of conduct must not be violated, along with any and other laws which continue to hold true. 1. The manpower assigned to an FC will be limited to 10. This manpower is your full responsibility for their conduct and discipline. 2. Any FC who has proven full utilization of the manpower already assigned to him may be assigned additional manpower by the OGB. 3. Any FC found to be recruiting outside of the established procedures will be considered as an act of treason. 4. Once manpower has been assigned to an FC, any future removal or replacement of an FC must arrive solely from a unanimous decision of the OGB. 5. All manpower under the guidance of an FC will remain under said authority during any short stays in the county jail or any parole violations that do not exceed 18 months. If said retainment should exceed, he must be confirmed or he must be reconfirmed. 6. Manpower may be assigned to an FC as early as 2 years before actual parole for the purpose of communication, consolation, and preparation. 7. It is each FC's responsibility to keep some sort of contact with his assigned link. 8. Any tolerance and or usage of drugs will lie with the FC to decide and enforce for his Familia clan. 9. It will be each FC's responsibility to establish and maintain a Familia bank, which will have dual functions: A. Support a Familia, and B. Financing new ventures. 10. Any and all problems arising on the streets from street activities are to be contained on the streets to avoid creating any additional problems behind the walls. Grattan spent the next 120 days studying the FC concepts and getting to know Ramirez. According to Ramirez, when it comes to the Nuestra Familia, we must welcome the young and respect the old. And he proceeded to teach Grattan the NF's history and its status and goals. Since the FC project was so new, he told Grattan that if he ran into any other NF leaders, aka the brass, during any inmate movement, he was to provide them a copy of the FC rules and regulations. A couple weeks later, Grattan was returned to the UCC. Going back and forth to the UCC every 120 days became routine for Grattan. In between each appearance, his NF schooling was intensified. His parole date was close, and he was learning what was expected of a Viesta on the streets, the importance of the NF communications, and how to write coded letters to his assigned link. The concept behind coded letters follows. When an NF member on the streets is writing to an incarcerated NF member, he is to write the coded letter as if a female was sending it, and vice versa. An incarcerated NF member would respond as if he were writing to a female on the streets. The following code starts with the prearranged code word brown and ends with the word Aztec. Every fifth word of each sentence in between those two key words comprise the message. Example: handsome, Here's your one and only with the light brown complexion, breezing a few brief lines in your direction with all hopes and sincerity of finding you're doing well. I hope and pray this letter reaches you in time of good health and with spirits high. As always, this letter is just a quickie to say hello and to remind you that thoughts of you are often. You are my number one and I miss you, something fierce. There just isn't any example I could use to compare to my love for you. You are the love of my life and I'll always love you. With this being said, a couple of days ago, I finally took some of those glamour photos that you wanted me to take for you. They're revealing, so keep them hidden where no one will see them but you. Plus, there's a sexy message on the back of one of them that I'm sure you won't want your homeboys to read. Last but not least, do remember that I don't want anyone else to see those photos because the private portions of this Aztec goddess are for your eyes only. Although it appears to be a harmless letter written by a female, it's actually a coded letter that could contain any message one NF member wanted to send to another. The code in the letter above reads, "This is one example of a hidden message." According to another article in the Associated Press, NF members are also taught to write coded messages with their own urine on the backs of innocent-looking letters or drawings before mailing them to outsiders. That's bullshit. When the urine dries, the contents of the message remain invisible to the naked eye until the recipient holds the paper to heat and its secrets are revealed. That method of covert communication, but nobody's pissing on no goddamn paper and communicating like that. Other secret messages called ghostwriting are lightly embossed with a pointed object on the inside of a manila envelope. The envelope is glued back together and mailed with other documents to an outside contact who rubs pencil lead over the markings so the message can be read. That's true. The article went on to say, because inmates are banned from corresponding directly with each other, NF members use a sophisticated three-way mailing address system with the help of female supporters on the outside. NF members housed in any section of any prison can send coded messages to an outside mailbox address set up by a gang follower, who then redirects the message to a second inmate housed in a separate section of the same prison or at another state prison. To avoid detection, female followers often disguise mail by rewriting the letters and perfuming the envelopes before the letters are sent. Grattan was amazed. The sophistication of these letter writing codes made him realize just how dangerous and ingenious the NF could truly be. He was being taught more than he imagined possible, and his eyes were open to another world. To say the least, he was impressed, and from that point on, he listened closely to every word Viramontes or Ramirez said. Grattan spent the next 4 months preparing for his street responsibilities. On September 6, 1992, Grattan was finally paroled. He was given 3 years of parole and NF instructions to function with Jimmy Weasel Sanchez in San Francisco.